Namaskar viewers, hello and welcome to Sansad TV. I am Tina Jha, you're watching Perspective. Artificial intelligence is no longer a futuristic concept on the battlefield. It is rapidly becoming central to how nations secure their borders, protect their citizens and prepare for emerging multi-domain threats. At the India AI Impact Summit 2026 in New Delhi, one of the most compelling discussions focused on AI in defense and national security. Serving officers, decorated veterans and technology innovators came together to deliberate on one critical question. How do we integrate AI into defense planning, operations and logistics responsibly, strategically and at scale in a manner that enhances readiness without compromising on accountability? So the conversation explored both the opportunities as well as the challenges in this domain. To get a sense of what emerged from that important discussions, especially in context of how AI is transforming our defense landscape, also improving our operational efficiency, I'm joined by two distinguished voices from that important session that happened at Bharat Mandapam. Delighted to welcome on this edition of Perspective, Major General Dr. Pavan Anand, retired. General, thank you for your time. Welcome to Sansad TV. Also joining us virtually is Dr. Subimal Bhattacharjee. He is a cybersecurity expert. Dr. Bhattacharjee, thank you for taking out time and joining us for this important conversation. Yep. So to begin with you, General Anand, because you were part of that conversation, both of you, and some of our viewers who couldn't watch that session on YouTube or be there in person, give us a sense of what emerged out of that conversation, especially in context of how our military is integrating artificial intelligence into its operational functioning.
Happy to be with you, Tina. It's really an honor to be talking about AI during the AI Impact Summit itself, with all the huge gathering of leaders which are here. Yesterday's discussions were pretty much focused on how AI has got integrated into the Indian Army's systems. Mm-hmm. And I'm so glad that it took place, because while everything was about AI in the civilian sectors, we didn't blindside ourselves, like many summits, from the responsible AI in the military domain aspect as well. So while the Bletchley Park summit as well as the Paris summit had none of this, we are the third and the ones from the global south who did include this. And the interesting aspects that really came out in this are that not only are we able to take forward AI into various aspects, starting from logistics and ending possibly a little later with probably autonomous systems at some stage. It's a process. And in that process, we will make sure that we bring in responsible AI rather than just blindly aping what others have been up to. So we will integrate it at all stages of the life cycle. And responsible AI will also go with the cultural milieu that India puts itself. And that also goes with the slogan, welfare for all, happiness for all. And when we integrate it into our weapon systems, it looks at our threat perceptions, but it keeps our cultural milieu in mind.
Okay, so I'll come back to you more and understand on how we're trying to balance between innovation and also keeping in mind the safety risks, most importantly, the accountability aspect, which also I believe was part of the discussion. But let me bring you in here, Dr. Bhattacharjee. You moderated that crucial session talking about AI in defense and national security. You also had the privilege to listen to the keynote address of the Vice Chief of Army Staff. Talk to us and our viewers about what stood out for you, particularly in context of India trying to become a technology-ready force. The Indian Army has said it wants to become a technology-ready, AI-ready force. But in that context, how prepared are we? How digitally sound is our ecosystem to adapt to that transformation?
Thank you, Tina, for having me in the show. I thought, I really enjoyed moderating the discussion because I was learning. And at the same time, since I've been an avid watcher of this space for quite some time, about how the progression of AI and the induction of AI in various aspects of the military ecosystem, I thought it was a very fantastic panel. General Vipul Shingal, the Deputy Chief of the Army Information Systems and Training, gave a terrific keynote where he laid out the overall canvas, but most importantly, as General Anand has also mentioned now, the idea of responsible AI, the military leadership having the command, and command cannot be delegated to anybody else. Now that itself, I think, was the biggest message that went, and this is the universal message around AI that we are giving out almost everywhere. The Prime Minister has been very forthright ever since the focus on AI has been there in policy here. And today, when he unveiled the AI framework, Manav, if you see in all those 5 things, the idea of responsible AI was very, very prominent. So I thought that the panel was able to get into almost every area that I thought I would have wanted covered. It's a shame that we had very, very less time, which is almost in most of the cases. But we were able to touch on, I would say, 5 areas which was very crucial. One was, of course, the equipment modernization, how AI is revolutionizing the military platforms through autonomous systems, then intelligent naval platforms, smart ground systems, and of course, communication. Then you have the supply chain management, which is very, very important. The role of predictive maintenance, inventory optimization, resilience against disruptions. I think AI is really a big enabler for optimizing that.
That's right.
Third, of course, in battlefield tactics, if you look at the decision support system, the network-centric warfare, which is a big rage in many countries, and the algorithmic coordination. Fourth, we had also touched a little bit on the global competition, because this is a space where not everyone, would play by the Geneva Convention on the rules and all. Many of our adversaries are known to deploy tactics which would otherwise not be possible in the physical world. And then you have also the discussion on the India's approach to the whole aspect in the defense ecosystem of how do you get in AI. So I thought that we covered a lot of ground, and it was very nice seeing such unique ideas coming from all the panelists, including one of them who was a founder of BharatGen, and another professor from US who has come back and started his work and is already working with the Indian Army.
That's right. In fact, when we talk about our military being integrated with different AI systems, it's important that kind of collaboration has to happen between the public and the private sectors. So how are we looking at that aspect? In fact, we've already heard about some of the partnerships that have taken place in recent years, and how we're also progressing on that front is something that we will discuss in due course. But since you spoke about some of the areas in which work has already begun, in fact, the keynote speaker did mention about some of the areas in which integration has already begun to happen. General Anand, let me bring you in here. To help us and our viewers understand, give us a sense of where we are in terms of adapting AI systems into our operational preparedness, especially at a time when there are questions on how do you balance innovation with the risks and, most importantly, the accountability factor. So we do understand Operation Sindoor did demonstrate what technology can do in such situations. So AI, we understand, is not anymore a futuristic benefit that we are looking at. It's a strategic necessity in context of the security implications that India has. But what are the sectors in which the AI systems are really making a difference?
Yeah, thank you, Tina. I think we must understand that AI is a tool. So it's going to be utilized in every domain of warfare, whether it is logistics, whether it is planning, whether it is decision making, or whether finally it is used for activating weapons. So in our case, we have been able to definitely, the first thing is that we have a huge amount of data which is available to us, which has got categorized and put in the right places. So that achievement is with us, and we've already got ourselves connected. We are in fact bringing the data down to a modular level at the various command headquarters as well. So there is redundancy, and there is the ability to protect our data. The second is that we have advanced fairly well in getting a high level of situational awareness, and that has begun to come down to the granular level. The third is that we have been able to now utilize AI to start optimizing our logistics. And finally, and that stage is yet to come, because we have to yet integrate it with robotics, But at some stage, we should be able to have weapon systems which are able to not only help us in deciding, but also to some extent decide and allow a human to then start controlling it and taking a judgment on it. And while we do all this, we have to be also sure that we integrate well with the industry, because unless industry takes these things forward, it's just not possible for the military on its own to start working this out. We have to remember that innovation today is moving forward so fast that the military would have to probably stay in touch or catch up, whereas in the earlier phases it used to be the military that used to take it forward. So now they both move hand in hand, and for that it's very important for partnerships. And what we have is academia and industry coming together with the military, and for that they have to work on-prem. So they're working with us on-prem, trying to work out solutions which are customized to our environment and our requirements.
Certainly, it's important that we have that civil-military cooperation, especially now strengthening that deep ecosystem, which will take us forward towards realizing our vision. Dr. Bhattacharjee, where are we in terms of that collaboration, especially the showcasing that is taking place through the AI Impact Expo? There are innovators, there are startups that are doing commendable jobs, but in the area of defense, where do you see the potential, and where do you see the efforts in harnessing that potential?
Well, the potential is tremendous, but what is heartening to see is that a lot of work is already being done in that fashion. You know, the forces, the academia and the industry, and as you know, I'm speaking now, I can see the visuals on the right of the expo. The Indian Army booth at the summit is displaying us some of those work that has already been done in that collaboration. Now, most important to note also here is to all that, as General Anand has mentioned, you know, there are many areas in which there is dual use where besides military, there civilians benefit. I was really enthralled to see one of those systems around predictive analysis and weather forecasting and all of that is on display at the venue, where feeds from at least 8 prominent organizations in the country. The data on a real-time basis is coming, and the team at the DGIS is able to bring out real intelligence on the premises. So it's going to be beneficial not only for them, but also, you know, to places where there is you know, disaster management situation or something like that. I thought that situational awareness coming out of all of that all the entities, you know, for example, the weather forecasting information data that comes out from the Ministry of Arts Sciences, the ISRO, the Northeast Space Application Center, NESAC outside of Shillong, every of these entities are providing the feed on a real-time basis, which is being fused and processed with AI, and then intelligence is given. So I think these are very, I wouldn't say low-hanging fruit, but these are very, very heartening things to see, because this ensures collaboration in the space available today. But however, as I had mentioned in the earlier part also, there are many areas where AI actually comes and you know, works as force multiplier for military equipments and their deployments and their performance, and this is being you know, taken over in many other countries also. You know, the OEMs are really looking at significantly at enhancing the capabilities and all. I think this is also a very big opportunity here for our private sectors, because as we are modernizing, as we are pushing a lot of you know, thrust on indigenization of defense equipments, as we are also ensuring that platforms that we buy from outside have a significant amount of local component and local manufacturing. I think in all of that, integration of AI capabilities would be very, very optimal, and we have the skills and you know, people with the right orientation available.
Absolutely. These efforts will help us not just modernize our force, but also make it technology friendly, make it an AI ready force. That's something that our defense is already committed to. General Anand, could you find time to visit the expo, and especially the pavilions of our Indian Army and the Indian Navy? You were a speaker there, but and I ask you this because it's not every day that you walk in at any expo and you see pavilions by the Indian Army and the Indian Navy.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, One was short of time. There were so many events happening that day, but it started early, and one could go down to the stalls that were there, especially the Indian Army and the Navy stalls. But after that, we had some roundtables. We had some other things to be done. There were 3 events that day. So one was running from pillar to post. But I think what has really come out out of all this is not that we are trying to display our prowess in AI. It's also what we're trying to do is to understand between ourselves as to what all capabilities we can give to each other from industry, academia, and the military. So it's not a showcase. It's a place where we can get together and talk to each other and see how we can take it forward. We are doing it at the national level. We are also doing it at the international level. So we have the MEA, which is dealing with a group of government experts at the UN. I have personally interacted in the Responsibly in the Military Domain Summit, which was held lately in Spain, earlier in Seoul. And at the same time, within the country, we are having our interactions with so many agencies, where we bring together whether we should graduate now from the non-lethal aspects of AI to the more lethal aspects of AI. And the moment we do that, how do we bring in accountability? So we are looking at non-lethal aspects like logistics and decision making, but we don't leave it to the system.
In fact, that was one of the concerns when, each time we talk about AI in defense, and as militaries evolve and adapt and integrate with AI systems, there is a key concern, and that can be felt here in India also each time there is a conversation around AI in defense and national security, that as we evolve and as we adapt to AI systems, how do we ensure that human command and accountability remains central to all our operations? How are you addressing that question, and how are you ensuring that the discussion around responsible AI covers all of these concerns?
Oh, I think, as I mentioned earlier, this is an aspect that we are very aware of, and it's not only just that it goes with our culture, but it also goes to ensure that the weapon systems remain reliable. So if at every stage the human is involved, you would have to have a human in the loop, you would have to have at times a human on the loop, and there's a very subtle difference between the two. I mean, you can have a human anywhere in the loop or everywhere in the loop for that matter, but accountability is where you really have to make sure you can't put accountability on a machine or an algorithm. It has to be on the human. Now, whether the accountability is with the human who has made the algorithm, the one who's utilizing the algorithm to make a decision, or the one who finally takes a decision to make a lethal strike. So all of these places, it is the human that would have to be made accountable. For that, you have to make sure that the documentation is correct, every step is monitored and audited, and I think India has done a great job of starting the conversations of this at the appropriate levels globally as well as nationally. And we're making sure in our systems, at least as of now, that the human judgment and international humanitarian law are kept in mind.
Since India has already shifted the narrative and shifted the conversation more towards responsible AI and inclusive AI, how competitive are we at this point in time, especially in context of AI, military innovation, and in context of national security? It's imperative for us given our security and strategic compulsions, but when it comes to a position in the global landscape, where do you see, where do you find India placed?
Yeah, I think we should be very clear as to where we stand, and the Americans and the Chinese are clearly the AI superpowers as well at the moment, and we must accept that. But we do accept that we are also part of the middle powers, as I continue to call us, and Europe, Korea, Japan, India should look at themselves as the middle powers in AI, and especially AI in the military as well. That doesn't mean that we will forever remain middle powers. We may have been late to the party, but we are going to be very strongly in the party. And the Prime Minister has very clearly enunciated that by 2047, Viksit Bharat, we are going to be the third superpower in AI. I see no reason why we shouldn't be. We are sitting on a huge amount of talent with us. We have threat on our borders, so our threat perceptions are very clear. And we are able now to see how we can integrate hardware with skinware and software. So there's no reason why we shouldn't be reaching that Viksit Bharat aim, which the Prime Minister so nicely brought out during the AI summit. Whether we are working towards it with that amount of effort, I can see momentum gathering in the coming years.
Okay, Dr. Bhattacharjee, since you're also a cybersecurity expert and you understand how we also need to strengthen our safety net, as we accelerate towards AI adoption, how are we also strengthening our guardrails?
I think that's one of the primary focus, and whether you look at the military or even the other organizations responsible for taking up the cybersecurity parameters in an AI ecosystem. See, AI gives a solid force multiplication to all the cyber attacks that happen. The speed and precision with which attacks can be today undertaken, and under so many circumstances. And most important is to note here is that the rogue elements, the non-military entities who are involved and who can do equal damage, how do you carry that whole ecosystem forward? And that is where the focus on responsible AI by the forces and the Indian military forces have been very, very disciplined and sticking to ethics all this while. But what is important is that on the guardrails front, I think the talent that we have and the processes we are putting in place along with the technical solution, the focus on getting indigenous products and algorithms and having the whole process defined about what and how the networks are handled and managed. I think that's definitely a very, very high imperative, and the close coordination where the different agencies are today having in terms of trying to see that they cooperate with each other, it is very, very laudable. You see, the army itself right now, I am aware that there are 16 different tracks in which the AI projects are going on. Now, all of them talk to each other so that there is coordination and there is no duplicity. Similarly, with the other agencies also, conversations happen on a regular basis, and as and where required, they are coordinated. What NTRO does, what the intelligence are doing, what some of these central forces are doing also, is the CBI in terms of the forensic capabilities to be able to detect threats and thwart them, and of course all the international cooperation by virtue of which you are passed on information on threats almost on a real-time basis today. So it's a whole of government and whole of an institutional effort. And mind you, Tina, here one most important thing is that the private sector and their products and their solutions and their participation in terms of integrating and even sometimes doing the monitoring part also. Of course, everything is legal. That they also have a very important role. So it's a kind of a trusted ecosystem in which the whole operations have to happen so that you don't have leakages happening or some kind of Trojan horses put in all. So I think the whole approach so far has been very cooperative, and I would think that as more and more mutation of technology happens, and who knows where the disruptions actually finally end up with, we will all have to be on top of the solution. The best part is a lot of people who have been working in this city even outside are now looking back to work in the country to start their own entities. So many startups have come up. A lot of startups on the cybersecurity space is already working. They have their own points of expertise. They're filling many gaps at various places in a way because you have this small specialized players. So you are also de-risking in many ways. So I think we are consciously taking the most prudent steps that would be required to be able to be on control of everything.
But the kind of deliberations that have taken place, you rightly say, spoke about the innovators and the startups that are doing a remarkable job, especially towards making us more self-reliant in that aspect. But how do we ensure, General Anand, as we wrap up the conversation, that all of the deliberations, the suggestions that happen at summits like these, they translate into actionable outcomes? That's the ultimate objective.
Absolutely. just keeping ourselves as talking heads would be the worst disservice we would do to ourselves. And a lot of these conversations have to get converted into roads ahead. That's exactly what I think the aim of this panel discussion was. It's also to interact with other people. Let me tell you that there is a very clear-cut roadmap which is there. A lot of people, and I meet a lot of startups who feel that not much is happening, and they keep coming up and saying, I've got this and I've got this to offer, but it must reach out to them to say that there's a lot happening, there's a lot that can be taken on. There are the innovation hubs which are very regularly in touch with the military at various places, and these are the places to then find your way forward along with the military. So definitely a lot more democratization will happen, and with that a lot of them will need to get pulled into the military as well. So there are ways and means. Nowadays, of course, we have also started an internship program in the military. So these are talented youngsters who should come forward and find their way into the military. But as far as our deliberations are concerned, not only in the AI summit but otherwise as well, which we keep doing at the USI where I am, we do try to find a way forward. We will have to keep reviewing the roadmap as we go, because technology will keep evolving, and in some places implementation may lag and you need to match the two things together. So all this is continuing to happen with the DGIS and the Army, and I'm sure it's happening with the Navy and the Air Force as well.
Absolutely. That's the most important aspect, that as we move from an experimentation phase to the implementation phase, we need to keep evolving, we need to keep reviewing the roadmap, and only then we'll be able to achieve the desired goal. And in our case, our most immediate goal at the moment is that of 2047 to become a Viksit Bharat in the next 20 years, and for which we need to go full throttle in. Time allows us to take up only that much of the program, gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us, taking out time and joining us for this very engaging conversation. Absolute delight to hear you talk about what happened at the AI Impact Summit, but most importantly also how AI is being integrated into different aspects and different operational capabilities of our military, ensuring that ours is a more strong force, a more technology friendly force, and most importantly AI ready force, ready to take on any kind of challenge. So with that, we'll have to call it a wrap on this edition of Perspective. Thank you to you viewers as well for your time.
To watch more programs of Sansad TV, subscribe to our YouTube channel and don't forget to like and share them.